You're welcome to Africa Uncovered YouTube channel. My name is DJ, and today we're going to be discussing the standoff in the first family. We're going to be discussing the standoff between Rwabwogo and Muhoozi Kainerugaba that is happening in the family, that seems to have taken a center stage at present from the background where we believe it has been for long to the limelight right now, where it reached an extent of coming into the limelight, of coming to the social media. So today, that's what we're going to be discussing, and this is how we begin. Around 17th of this month, the CDF of Uganda, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, took on his Twitter account, the main account, which has a blue tick, which is certified by Twitter, and wrote, "Mzee, you arrested my friend Michael Mawanda, and you comfortably taking pictures with the biggest thief in Uganda." And the tagged picture here is that of Rwabwogo and President Museveni, and it is actually, the picture itself, when you look at it, is stamped or has a signature of Rwabwogo. It has a logo which is in his name, Rwabwogo, because we understand that the in-law of Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Rwabwogo, happens to have a media house that does all these works, videography, photography, and everything. So when you see a picture that is tagged or that has his logo, Rwabwogo, then it is done by his media house. So he took on social media and accused the president of Muhoozi General Kainerugaba accused the president, his father Museveni, of taking pictures with the biggest thief, labeling Rwabwogo the biggest thief in Uganda. He wrote, "Mzee, you arrested my friend Mawanda, Michael, and you are comfortable taking pictures with the biggest thief in Uganda." Now, when this was seen on social media by the Ugandans who love trouble, who love, everything that is up and about, they immediately grabbed it and made it a talk of the city, and it has been trending since then. It was about, I think it was around 17th when it surfaced. And by the way, after not so long, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, I don't know if he was, coerced or if he was advised to pull down this tweet, he went on to put it down. However, Twitter, I don't know why, suddenly was not able to, remove this tweet for some time. In other words, it was removed, but you could still be able to see it. It was removed, but unfortunately, so many people had gotten hold of it, and they had spread it like wildfire. So this is what we're going to be discussing in our today's discussion on Africa Uncovered. The standoff that has been in the background, because we all understand that despite not having been in the limelight, there's been a standoff for some time going on between the first family, especially between Rwabwogo, who happens to be the brother-in-law to the CDF, because Rwabwogo marries in the first family, happens to marry the sister of CDF, Muhoozi Kainerugaba. So the standoff that has been in the background now has come to the limelight, and people have picked on it. Because it is a big statement for someone to label someone the biggest thief in Uganda. In other words, whoever we have seen going to prison, the likes of Michael Mawanda and so many other people that have been culprits of corruption, the biggest of them all is none other than Rwabwogo, and he is there moving freely, scot-free, according to the general. And you see, a word that has been, circulated by the general or the CDF cannot be taken light, okay? Because as we speak, he is the commander of all the forces in the country. In other words, everyone that holds a gun, whether it's a security company or an army of a given sort, or CID or police, whoever holds a gun is under Muhoozi Kainerugaba. So we take him by his word. We respect and we think that whatever he says is the right thing. So he came out to label Rwabwogo the biggest thief in Uganda. So many Ugandans have come out and reacted on this. And people are seemingly taking sides about it as well. The fact that they use social media to make an outburst, the fact that it took Muhoozi Kainerugaba social media to cause an outburst about this, to make the entire nation, the entire world actually get to know about this, then people are reacting the same way people are using social media to react in response to this. And among the notable people is none other than Dr. Kizza Besigye to respond like this. Uganda's CDF General Muhoozi Kainerugaba says his father, Mr. Museveni, arrested his friend Mawanda, who is an MP in Bushenyi, Ishaka, around Ishaka there. I think he's an MP of Shema, somewhere in Shema, and is now taking pics. We continue reading what Dr. Kizza Besigye wrote on his Twitter, and is now taking pics with the biggest thief, his brother-in-law and senior presidential advisor. He also says Mawanda was imprisoned by politically dilapidated people in NRM. Disciples of Rwabwogo, we shall reach there. That's what Kizza Besigye Chifefe says. Uganda CDF General Muhoozi Kainerugaba also said that someone has to deliver this country from this nonsense. Okay, we shall generally look at the entire tweet that Kizza Besigye tweeted on his official account. But before we go there, Kizza Besigye is one of the biggest vocal politicians in Uganda, who has been, running with President Museveni for about 4 terms, until the last term when he didn't, go on the ballot because he had given his support to Bobi Wine to unseat the president. However, he is being behind understanding how the politics of Uganda runs, and he took on the words of the CDF and propelled them further to the public by reposting them and making sense out of them on his Twitter account. In other words, there are words that people really, really take serious because they were said by the CDF. So where does this problem come from? This problem comes from the arrest of one Michael Mawanda, who was arrested in a corruption scandal some months ago and remanded to the prison. He's been in prison with his colleagues, I think 3 of them. I am not sure yet if they have been released, though one of the ladies from Mawogola, I think, has been released so far. Others I'm not very sure about, but at one point, the Mawandas and his colleagues were denied bail for having been part of a given corruption scandal of the Mbale circle of some sort. There were monies that exchanged hands, or monies that they were meant to deliver to these corporate or cooperative societies that were not delivered. So they were taken to prison. Now, when the picture of Rwabwogo surfaced, the CDF used it as a point of reference in the arrest of his friend of the PLU to accuse the president for taking the picture with him. Because he said Michael Mawanda is a political prisoner. He was taken to prison by some politically depleted people in NRM for the great crime of supporting Muhoozi Kainerugaba in Bushenyi. That is his only crime. So this issue did not stop here. It continued, and also when you realize that somehow the disciples, a team of people who called themselves the disciples of Rwabwogo, also took on their social media in a headed document to respond to what the allegations, or to respond to the allegations of the CDF Muhoozi. And the document is entitled The Disciples of Odrek Rwabwogo, Barintuma Road, Mengo. The address is put there, 17th August 2024. Statement on General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, Twitter X, reckless utterances against Mr. Odrek Rwabwogo. You see how the problem is becoming bigger? General Muhoozi Kainerugaba took on his X platform to address whatever he was addressing, and now the team of the so-called disciples of Rwabwogo are taking on the same platform to respond to him. And when you read through the lines, it is not by coincidence that these people responded. It seems whatever was written in there, as we're going to be reading it, was doctored, was something orchestrated, or it looks as though they were told to respond in a certain way. Because you realize that personally, Rwabwogo has not responded to the CDF. After all, the CDF had already deleted the tweet. But it took his friends, who are the so-called disciples of Rwabwogo, to respond. So whatever is in this response seems to be coming from Odrek Rwabwogo, much as it is indirect. You might probably not put the words on him, but when you read between the lines, it is a response that is coming from him. And it reads, as disciples of Odrek Rwabwogo, we are greatly concerned by the reckless utterances made on 16th day of August by the Chief of Defense Forces of UPDF, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, through his Twitter or X handle against Mr. Odrek Rwabwogo, referring to him as the biggest thief in courts in Uganda. The allegations made by General Muhoozi Kainerugaba against Mr. Odrek Rwabwogo are unfounded, false and malicious, aimed at mischaracterizing the latter in order to corrupt people's perception and lower his public reputation. Odrek Rwabwogo is not a thief as alleged, and whatever he does for our country is based on his patriotic motivations and inclinations to maintain Uganda as a stable home for all generations. Therefore, the utterances by General Muhoozi Kainerugaba are emotive outbursts of chronic envy, the operative of force of hate, the malevolent object of fear, and above all, it is project of intrigue enforced by irrational coward suffering from extreme sense of entitlement. Whereas we note that General Muhoozi Kainerugaba's allegations have attracted social media curiosity, we ask the public to ignore the same with contempt proportionate to that magnitude of his malice and emptiness of their content. Signed by Mugaju Josiah, for the disciple of Odrek Rwabwogo. Now, such a statement, there's a number of things that we are going to look at in this very statement. One, we are speaking about the head of the entire forces, whatever forces you've ever heard of in Uganda, the CDF, who is apparently the CIC, by the chief in command. In other words, he commands everything, every single unit, everyone that holds a gun and has received a training as a soldier or as a security person in this country. Now, these so-called disciples of Odrek Rwabwogo taking on social media to call him a coward, because they say the malevolent object of fear and above all the project of intrigue enforced by an irrational coward suffering from extreme sense of entitlement. In other words, calling him an irrational coward, calling a CDF an irrational coward on social media is questionable. So the responses in this letter that was, published on X themselves show you a high level of disrespect that whoever, tags themselves the disciples of Odrek Rwabwogo, has handled this situation. Like I said, reading between the lines, these are responses from Rwabwogo himself when you read between the lines, but he could not publicly come out to address it to himself, so he went through his team to address the situation and label the general in such a way. There's also another statement that says Muhoozi Kainerugaba, that says, therefore, the utterances by General Muhoozi Kainerugaba are emotive outbursts of chronic envy and operative force of hate. Why would there be a hatred between Muhoozi Kainerugaba and his brother-in-law? Why? Why would there be hatred between the two? And how do you say that it is malicious envy? Envy. Why would he be envying him? So that's where the political bit of it comes in. Because we understand that what has been talked about, what we've been hearing in rumors per se, is that Rwabwogo, unlike General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, is seeking to be a president of Uganda. Is seeking to take over from President Museveni. We've been hearing this in rumors, and now it is becoming public. It is starting to come out. So when they talk about when they talk about an outburst of chronic envy, then we read between the lines that this could be what they are talking about. That probably General Muhoozi Kainerugaba is envying Rwabwogo because he also intends to run for presidency. But we have, like we have always discussed on our platform, is that we've done a number of videos giving you reasons why General Muhoozi Kainerugaba is likely to be the next president. And in our pecking order, we don't see Rwabwogo so close to him in any shape or form. It is far-fetched. Because Ugandan leadership, for someone to become the president of Uganda, if you don't have a background of the army, you are just wasting your time. Because that is the precedent, that is the pace that has been set. You're just wasting your time. So there is no rivalry for me that I see there between Rwabwogo and Muhoozi Kainerugaba, because the two are a very different wavelength. The one is a general in the army, and another one is a day-to-day business person. Even if it took to the ballot, do you think in hearts of hearts Rwabwogo would win Muhoozi Kainerugaba? I don't think so. You know the hatred that people hold for Odrek. I mean the general public. Because there's a number of things that people would probably base on not to give him their vote of confidence to become the next president of Uganda. So the question of who is going to become the president, of the question of someone thinks the other is going to become the president, is taken out of context, because there is no comparison between the two. One is a general who has all the support and all the demeanor to become the next president, and the other person is just more like a wishful thinking. It would be the way we saw Amama Mbabazi coming in to stand as the president of Uganda. That's how I see it. That's how I see how Rwabwogo would be if he decided to stand the following day or the following month or the next election. But the malice that was used by these so-called disciples against General Muhoozi, calling him all sorts of names, tagging him all sorts of things, chronic envy, and sorts of things, was not good. There is a category, or there is a way we should be giving sheer respect to people in leadership of the army. Because what if he decides to arrest them all today? Because he is the CIC. You will not take him to court. You don't have the capacity. You will not do nothing to him if he decides to arrest you, the so-called disciples of Rwabwogo. He can arrest you and you will do nothing. He is the CIC. Absolutely nothing. So these words used like motive of outburst, of chronic envy, like hatred, showed sheer disregard for the CDF. Because for him, he took on his platform to address a situation that he felt, much as he used, quite a big word to call his in-law the biggest thief in Uganda. Because trust me, you or not, this will be branded. This is how he will be believed to be for the rest of his life. And remember, social media never forgets and it never forgives. At one point, people will bring out this statement itself against Odrek, even if he wanted to stand. So it is something big. However, the boys or the team of Rwabwogo also responding to the CDF in this manner was sheer disrespect and disregard for the CIC. So the political undertones in this that we are seeing should not elude the fact that one is a general and the other one is a day-to-day person, and if sustained at this wavelength, it can bring trouble in the country. I'm pretty sure so many meetings should be seated by now, should have sat by now, or discussions should have gone on already to discuss the same, because it has pointed the Ugandans at a certain direction. People should be asking themselves, why then is he not arrested by now? Because by the time that the CIC, the CDF says that, then we can take him, Ugandans can take him by his word, and therefore the Rwabwogo by now should have been reprimanded, arrested, and taken to prison, and probably pending, investigations and everything. Because it was addressed by the CDF. So it is such a huge matter that has really attracted the attention of all the Ugandans, that has attracted attention of all people that are on X, the Generation Z of today, the people that are learned and elite, and it should be taken serious. But we know General Muhoozi Kainerugaba and how he reacts and acts in most instances. I remember at one point telling you that whatever General Muhoozi Kainerugaba tweets on his platform, this is a personal feeling, is filtered a number of times. The repercussions of it are looked into. The outburst it is likely to cause is looked into, and when it is filtered and it goes to the level of being hung there, of being put there, then they know the repercussions and they believe in the outcome of it and how they wanted to benefit from it. So I'm seeing that a number of things in this. There was silence at one point in General Muhoozi's camp. And so not so much has been said of him of late. So could it have been that we should talk about him once again? Don't you think that it could also be the case? Because nothing he puts on his platform is not filtered. He has very intelligent, very understanding, very, critical people on his team, including Andrew Mwenda, who cannot let something that is going to damage his repute to go into the public without scrutinizing it. So whatever he tweeted, much as he pulled it down after a given period of time, was critically looked into, the repercussions it was meant to cause, and the probable responses it was going to get. So So they knew her very well. And probably the target was hit. Yes, the target was hit for whatever reason why it was put there. And there's so many things he's been talking about recently on his platform, including asking the USA for 100 billion compensation for the Ugandans that lost their lives in Somalia. We shall also get another day and discuss that as well. So that's what we thought we would discuss today on As Africa Uncovered, to look into this standoff between General Muhoozi Kainerugaba and his brother-in-law Rwabwogo. In other words, the standoff in the first family. Whatever the president is doing, he is addressing the situation as we speak. From me to you, I am TJ. Adios.